Alright, welcome to the new studio. Step right in. Here we are. This is 3166 Studio. 3166 sound. Brand new. I'm all moved in. Let's just say I moved from somewhere in Massachusetts to somewhere else in Massachusetts. But yeah, here we are. This is your own little piece of Hollywood right here in New England. Yeah, so right over here is where the drums usually are. They're actually all packed up because we have lots of shows and other secret things going on right now, so the drums aren't here. But yeah, this is where it all happens. So why don't we start? We can start with the amps here that I have. Why don't we actually start with this one, because this is the one I think I've probably had the longest out of all these. This is well, it used to be a Fender Blues Junior, the Tweed version, and it's been modded pretty much every way possible. So it's definitely got a lot more gain now. It almost sounds more like the old Fender Blackface amps now. And yeah, and it's also been lacquered. I lacquered it. My dad helped me lacquer it just to protect it in because it looks cool. But yeah, so that's the Fender. I use that for you know more the kind of twangy, bluesier stuff. But yeah, like I said, it's got a lot of gain. And then underneath it, this is actually a custom 2x12 cab that my dad and I built together. It's loaded with Celestion vintage 30s. Sounds awesome. Really, really. It's great for recording too, because you know it's vertical. It's a vertical 2x12, so it doesn't take up that much space. Over here, this is another cab that my dad and I built together. It's a 1x12, obviously, and this actually has a Celestion vintage 30 speaker in it as well, which is definitely one of my favorite speakers. Then up here, covered with clutter, is a vintage 1987 Marshall Lead 100 MOSFET. And actually my girlfriend, Kelly, gave this to me. She had a friend that had it and was going to get rid of it and was going to throw it out. So I said, no, I'll take it. And yeah, so I just needed the input jack cleaned out. But yeah, it works great. It was one of the first solid state amps that Marshall made, I believe. And for a solid state amp, it actually has got a really, really cool tone, and it's vintage. You can't go wrong with Marshall, right? And then over here, I got my orange OR15. This is my secret weapon. I love this amp. It has a mid-range to it that I don't know that none of my other amps really seem to quite be able to do. And you can get really awesome clean tones from it. You get some really distorted goodness from it as well. This is the amp I usually use live most of the time because it's 15 watts. You can run it at 7, so for a lot of the smaller clubs we play, it's not overpowering. It's also smaller, so it's easier to transport. Over here, this top one right here is actually the first Marshall I ever got, which is a 2007 Vintage Modern 100-watt version. And I love this thing. For me, this is what rock and roll sounds like. This is just the holy grail tone of rock and roll for me. It's based off of like the old Plexis and JMPs, and it's got the old KT66 tubes in it, like they used to have back in the 60s. It's just a one-channel amp. You know, it's great for getting that 70s brown sound. Underneath it is an original 1998 JCM 2000 dual super lead that I got for a steal from a local music store. It was in pretty beat up shape, but my dad and I kind of renovated it, and we retolexed it in white just because white looks cool. And Randy Rose has been a big inspiration of mine, so the white Marshall's kind of his thing. Needed new tubes in it, new reverb tank. But yeah, this is probably the most versatile amp that I have. It does everything from heavy metal to awesome clean sounds. It's a great pedal amp to run pedals in, which is actually what I use it for mostly. And underneath, this is actually the matching cab for the Vintage Modern, which I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but they're both purple Tolex. And it's got it's a 425A cab, which is the same exact one as the Jimi Hendrix signature one. It's just they put a purple Tolex on it and marketed it with the Vintage Modern when this was released. But it's got the special edition Celestion greenback speakers that the Jimi Hendrix Marshall has. So this is probably my favorite cab. I love it. This actually isn't mine. This is my friend's. It's PV6505, metal amp. I don't really use it, but it's here. This is a really special one. This is my other secret weapon. This was hand built by David Rudolph Smith, who's a really good friend of mine. He's a genius, and it's actually a Marshall Silver Jubilee clone that he built using parts of a Seriatone kit, but it's an exact clone of a Silver Jubilee, which is an awesome amp. And he gave it to me without this wooden enclosure, and my dad and I actually built all the wood part, and we kind of made it look like one of the old vintage Marshalls. But yeah, this is a really amazing sounding amp. It's crazy loud. It's awesome. And this is actually the first 4x12 speaker I ever had. This was back when I was in high school. It's an acoustic brand amp. I sold the head because it wasn't that great, but it's a good cab to have. It's loaded with a Celestion 7080s. But yeah, that's amp world. Because over here is kind of my pedal shelf / special stuff. Yeah, I don't really have too many pedals anymore. I have several on. I have a couple boards, but yeah, it's kind of down to the basics and what I use. I got these are kind of special because these are both modded by Keeley. It's a Boss Super Overdrive and a Tube Screamer, and I got these years ago, and actually I sent them in to get modded. I didn't actually buy them modded, so it was cool. And Robert Keeley doesn't do mods anymore, so not only will they hopefully be worth a lot of money someday, it's really cool that they're kind of rare now. And they sound amazing. But yeah, I like to keep all the boxes for all the pedals I have. And I get all my Ernie Ball strings here. I use 10 gauges on my Gibson scale guitars, like my Les Pauls I have, my Seaglass. I'll use 10 gauges, and on my Fender guitars I use 9 gauges just because Fenders have the longer scale length. Here's my Fender. Here's my Ford Mustang. I got that. Then I got a couple signed baseballs. This is Ace for Healy. This is Grand Funk Railroad that my uncle gave me. It's a scratch from the Worcester Ice Cats back when that was a team. This is back when I played at Fenway Park a couple of years ago. My backstage pass is there. Gotta keep some earplugs in here because it might get loud. I have a couple of my DiMarzio cases. I got a whole box full of all my DiMarzio cases out back. But yeah, then here's the they have Bert's camera stuff on it. Here's the power couch. It's got zebra and leopard print, which can't go wrong with that. I got some more zebra print right here on the pole, and I got some more leopard print. Is it leopard print or is it cheetah print? I don't know, but the rug down there. But yeah, I got some more on the souvenirs and special things here. I got different magazines and some nerdy Star Wars stuff, and little trinkets. Here's my jukebox, which modern jukebox, CD player, which I guess CD players are considered old school now too. Here's a clock that I have not put batteries in quite yet, and I got some more autographed. This is when I met Joe Perry last year in Boston on Newbury Street, back when I was at Berkeley. This is Richie Kotzen, signed that album. Rick Derringer signed this album for me. Yeah. There's some posters and some cool stuff. Here's my ukulele. It's in a box right now, but a ukulele. Then over here, I got a couple of my Fenders, my Telecaster. I got the DiMarzio Tone Zone humbucker pickup, but one of my good friends, Jay Tullio, who is the only one that touches any of my gear, installed my DiMarzio for me. But when I wanted to have that nice twangy telly sound, he put in a push-pull knob that splits the coils. And this is a DiMarzio Area T neck pickup. Here's my Strat. This is what it looks like this week. I'm always changing stuff around. Actually, I'm waiting to get another DiMarzio in from them for this. Should be in hopefully sometime this week. But right now I got the 36th anniversary PAF. And these are two area pickups. I think this is an area of 58 and 67. And Yeah, the 36th anniversary PAF is definitely one of my favorite pickups by DiMarzio. But as soon as I got the tone zone put in my telly, I called up DiMarzio and I said, you know, you gotta send me one for the Strat. So that's gonna be what's going in there next. Here's the command center, so to speak. And the whole point of this whole studio is you know, efficiency, and you know, it's very 21st century, very millennial, as much as I hate that word. So you're not gonna see a soundboard here or anything like that. It's all on Pro Tools and, you know, on the computer. So, you know, all the mics, you know, plug in. I got a Focusrite interface. I love it. I love the preamps in this. It sounds great. I never had any issues with it. But yeah, for me, for what the band does, this is really all I need as far as the setup goes. And here's the most expensive thing in the entire studio. That piece of paper right there. It's was more expensive than all this gear put together. Yeah, and then I got my 2 Les Pauls over. I never leave my Gibsons out because when Gibsons fall, they tend to break. So, but I have all my Fenders and everything else out here. Oh, and then of course the signature BC1 by Seaglass guitars. I love this thing. My first ever signature guitar. And like I said, I think I talked about this in another video. You know, I had a lot of people comment, you know, on the relicking of this. And it was definitely, I asked Seaglass to beat it up for me a little bit. But I don't really call it necessarily relicking. It's almost advanced aging, because the type of paint that Seaglass put on was like the old school one. It was a very thin coat. So a lot of this actually is natural. You know, it happened from me just playing it all the time. Since the paint was so thin, I call it advanced aging. It only takes a year to make it look like it's aged like 20 years, which I love. I love the look of a beat up guitar. But yeah, this is the Ben Cote signature model, the BC1. Then over here I got these guitars are special, so I hung them up. This is a Kramer Eddie Van Halen 5150 replica. This is way before Fender started making them again with EVH gear, I think a couple years ago. This one I got, I think 2009. And I'm not sure exactly what year it was made. I have one friend who is positive it was an original, like 1986 or 87. And then I have another friend who claims it's a 2002 as well. So I'm not really sure where it is. Kind of a mystery. I don't even know if it was made to be like a Van Halen replica by Kramer, if someone else, you know, bought a white Kramer and then you okay? You know, bought a white Kramer and then kind of built it themselves. But it's actually got a DiMarzio 36th anniversary PAF in it as well. It does need a new Floyd Rose though, because the actual screw holes are stripped in it, so it kind of buzzes a little bit and you can't really set it up to not buzz. But yeah, this out of all my guitars, I think this probably has the nicest neck on it. Something about it, because it's so worn down that it just feels so at home. But yeah, that's really a special guitar. This is actually the guitar I played my first ever real performance, which was I was 15 at my freshman year high school talent show. I played that. I played Eruption on a Van Halen guitar. Yeah, then this is my Epiphone Les Paul, which it didn't always have this Bigsby on it, but I got this for a steal. I got it for like $50, and it doesn't really hold tune at all, but it looks cool. So that's pretty much the point of it. I got some DiMarzios put in this now too. But yeah, this is actually a really, really awesome sounding guitar, and it plays really great. And yeah, even though it's an Epiphone, I put this up against my Gibsons. But yeah, those are kind of special guitars, because that's what I had. Those my 2 guitars I had, you know, for a really long time. Kind of grew up on those guitars, I guess. Oh yeah, so here are my 2 pedal boards. I got my mini one and my big one. The little one I use for smaller venues or you know, gigs where I don't necessarily need as many effects, and you know, I'm looking for kind of streamlined in and out, you know, as easy as possible. And I guess we'll start with the little one. So I just got this pedal, the EVH 5150 Overdrive, which is probably the best distortion pedal I think I've ever played. Like honestly, like I was checking out, I heard all the reviews, saying that, Eddie Van Halen himself couldn't tell the difference between this and his amps, and I'm like, okay, that's probably just a marketing thing. But as soon as I tried this out, I had to get it, because it really is, his 5150 amps in a pedal. It's amazing what, what pedal companies are doing these days, and this is what I've been using now through a clean amp, which is great because it now frees me up. I don't have to worry about using an effects loop for all my fellow guitar nerds out there like me, because I like using chorus and the time-based effects in an effects loop, but I also like to keep it as simple as possible, so having a distortion pedal that I'm running into a clean amp now, it frees me up to keep everything all in one chain. So yeah, that's how I get my main dirt on this pedal board anyway, is the 5150 overdrive. I got my exotic SP compressor, which is based off of the old Ross compressors, but it does even more. It's really, Exotic is my favorite pedal company. It's not just because I'm endorsed by them. They make some. They're great at taking the kind of old vintage effects and really giving them a modern update, which make them really amazing. On this one, I just have a Boss Super Chorus. This is actually, I think, the pedal that I've owned the longest. I must have got this when I was like 16. And it's a chorus pedal. It does its job. I like to run it at a lower rate and depth, so it's almost more like the detune effect, just to kind of give it a little more space to my tone. I don't like having it really intense, because that sounds kind of cliche 80s, but when it's subtle, it's great. And I'm using the Reverb RV6 reverb pedal, and I have it in the delay and reverb setting, so it sounds really big. I love this. It's great. It's got so many studio grade reverb, like plate reverb. The plate setting on this is really nice too. But yeah, then my big board that I'm using right now, this is kind of does everything this one does, but plus more. So I got the Van Halen signature Phase 90, which is great for the Van Halen sweeping sound. But I like to turn it up a little bit, and I get kind of like the Leslie rotary speaker effect, which it's almost more like a univibe. And that's how I use it on our Baby Gets Around a Bit recording, which you can check that on Spotify and iTunes and all that. Then this pedal, this is another one of my favorite distortion pedals. I've been getting more into running a distortion pedal into a clean amp. Lately I've been liking the sound of that, if it's a good distortion pedal. This is made by Mad Professor. It's called the One, and it's a brown pedal with the number 1 on it, so it's supposed to be the Van Halen first record sound in a box, and it does a really good job with that, the brown sound. Sorry. And it's got a built-in reverb on it, which is really unique for distortion. It's a really nice 70s plate reverb. At least that's what it sounds like to me. So I really love that pedal. I'm actually using my EQ pedal just as a clean boost right now, because another advantage to having a distortion pedal where I'm getting my tone from. I have headroom now. I can just give it a volume boost for leads for live. I'm running Electric Mistress, which I like to actually run that before the dirt, along with a phaser. I like flanger and phase before distortion. This is great. It's a really awesome flanger pedal, as made famous by David Gilmour. And this is the stereo version, so it has a chorus in it as well, which I love this pedal. It's really awesome. The EP booster is my always on pedal. I like to turn it all the way down, and that way it's still having some magic happen, and it kind of boosts your signal just a little bit. And it's something more you feel than you hear. That's probably my all-time favorite pedal is the EP booster. And then I have the the exotic wah, which is based off the Clyde McCoy wah by Vox, which this is hands down the best wah pedal on the market. It's really awesome. Then after the dirt, I'm running another chorus and the MXR carbon copy analog delay. I don't have a reverb on this board because I don't need one because it's built in with the distortion. But it's pretty much the same setting as I have on the Boss one down here. Although I do like the MXR one a little bit better. It's analog opposed to the digital, so it does have a little bit more of a lush, kind of real sound, for lack of a better term. But yeah, that's my that's pretty much all the stuff I'm using in here. And recording, I like to you know, take advantage of all the stereo effects by running 2 amps with the stereo. Yeah, that's pretty much everything right now. Here's my bass guitar. It's a Stingray. Yep, completely stock. It's awesome. You can't go wrong with one of these. They just, even though this isn't the American-made Music Man one, it still plays and sounds amazing. Which I just got that for when I'm recording demos in here. I like to have a bass on hand just to, you know, if I need to write a bass part quickly, I can have that there. But yeah, this is the studio. This is where it all happens. And yeah, so oh, one other thing too. There we go. Here's the fridge. It's got 1 beer left in it. Thought I had more than that. Whoops. But yeah, this is 3166 Studios. So now we're gonna have a lot more new music. You know, usually we try to release 1 new song a month, but maybe we can do 2 or 3 a month now. Who knows? All right. Well, thank you so much again. I'll see you soon.